a being or a god or an angel or a spirit that is at any point. That is at any point in the multiverse in the different dimensions. You can find one. You can find one that represents any combination of ideas that you can come up with. The ones that are mapped out in Hinduism are in the thousands, just many thousands, and they're because the different points of consciousness have been mapped out in such a diverse, a specific, and multifarious way that that you have a conscious solution to everything you need to manifest, and you have something to look up to for anything that you need to work to manifest. And there's just so many different points of consciousness that I have seen evidence of, as far as when I look to them, these things are manifested, or I become stronger in that way. And if I fail to look to a higher point of consciousness, then, and I accidentally look to a lower form of consciousness, then negative aspects manifest in my life. Because I read many spiritual books from, mainly the right hand path, but some from the left hand path. And sometimes I get my information wrong, and I look to the wrong point of consciousness in the universe, in the dimensions, in the multiverse, wherever it's at. I look to the wrong form of consciousness, and then I feel this like ebb of energy within, this withdrawal of consciousness within myself, and I'm like, okay, well, I messed up, because consciousness is. It's the runic foundation for everything. The runes just describe these archetypes that are primordial and come just basically right after the source. In Asatru, people call it the source, or in Hinduism or many other traditions we call it God. Just after that, these primordial energies that are the runes were created. And if I look to a rune and I look to it the wrong way, if I look to, let's say partnership. If I look to Gebo, I believe it is, then, and I look to it just for the satisfaction of, let's say, fehu, money, wealth. If I'm trying to get into a relationship, a partnership in life, where I just want to benefit from it, and this doesn't happen very often with me, but I do it sometimes by accident, almost subconsciously. And if I do that, then that primordial energy will basically look at me and say, okay, this is going to go bad for you. The wrong energy is going to be manifested because I look to the wrong form of consciousness. And this has happened to me in many instances. Luckily, I haven't crossed the line too much as far as being selfish with consciousness. But if you look to the wrong form of consciousness and you try to focus on that, and you try to make it a part of yourself, or you try to appease it, or you try to harness it, and you do it in the wrong way, or then you're basically playing with fire and you're going to get burned. Now, there's all the different forms of consciousness aren't necessarily dangerous. The ones that are part of the left-hand path, the more selfish, demonic path, to put it plainly, it's easier to play with those forces and get burned, in essence, to get negative side effects energetically or consciously or materialistically, than it is the right-hand path. If you follow points of consciousness that are more part of forgiveness and more part of compassion and more attuned with everybody else benefiting and not just yourself, then you're less likely to get a bad result. The different forms of consciousness on the left-hand path, and the left-hand and right-hand path is terminology in the occult and in Hinduism. But if you play with the left-hand path and the path that's completely selfish and deals with beings and consciousnesses that are completely selfish, you might just get results, but the price that you pay energetically in other parts of your life, or the price that you pay materialistically, or maybe that selfish form that you try to appease wants to be selfish and takes from you, it's much easier to just make your life a hell. That's that's some information about the left-hand path, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that will not have this opinion. There's a lot of people that won't believe anything that I'm saying. But in my opinion, that's why the left-hand path is more negative towards one's overall spiritual growth. And really, it's all about increasing our consciousness in a way that we do work our way towards God. And, we have to work our way through the angelic astral realm phase, then to the God phase, then to God. But it can't be viewed as the only purpose for our path is to become a God. If we only view ourselves as something that wants to be a God, that wants to be all powerful and be a separate God, be separate from God, other gods and God, then we are pretty much putting a cap on our spiritual growth. We're putting a restriction, saying, okay, once I become a powerful, separate being, that's where my consciousness will stop. But I guarantee you, your consciousness will stop developing way before that, because with that lesser understanding of universal union, you simply can't even get to the God level. All the demonic forces are either defeated, asleep, or bound in some way, shape, or form, because they were defeated basically to create this universe itself, to create the balance that exists. There had to be an absent field of chaos. The whole field of chaos had to be absent to the extent that this universe could support life, that this universe could have some balance and order. Now, the chaos still influences this universe, but it had to be put in check, and it was put in check by order, by the conscious forces of order and the different forms of consciousness that want others to rise to their level. Any left-hand path beings or gods or demons, they simply desire for themselves, and we can appease them, but they will not allow everyone else or want everyone else to raise to their level and then onward. They want your spiritual progression only to progress to the extent that they are benefited from it. And that's me just purely talking about the left-hand path right there. But there are many different forms of consciousness, and I encourage you, whoever's watching this, might not be a lot of people, to, think of the form of consciousness that you want to embody, that you want to attune yourself with, that you want to become eventually, and try to harness that in your life, whether it be a certain god you want to focus on, whether it be an Asatru Hinduism, any other tradition, Tibetan Buddhism, or if you're just a Christian that wants to attune yourself to the spirit beyond creation. I view all spiritual traditions as effective in their own way, as paths to God in their own way, if you look at them correctly, if you interpret them correctly, and if you look at them esoterically. So find that thread that leads you to higher forms of consciousness, and allow your consciousness to travel along that. See where it leads you. Try to progress in a way that would make your higher self proud of you. We all have that conscience. We all have that higher self who's constantly speaking to us to do the right thing. So pretty much allow yourself to become that right thing that you view as right, that your higher self views you as being able to do. And that's all I got to say about consciousness right now. If you watched it this far, thank you for listening. I'll be putting out more videos, but just thank you, and I hope all of you progress in whatever way you really want to. See ya.